Hello everyone! Welcome to a DSP video. We're going to be watching the weekend preview, and he did upload the King of Fighters 14 review, so we get to do a double feature, which seems to be a thing now. But let's get started with the weekend preview. By the way, I think the audio situation now is going to be better because I think before I used the Apple headphones, I used these. If I can get them. Yeah, the Apple headphones, you know what they look like. They have a mic, so it was probably recording my voice 2 times. Um, so now that I'm only having one source of audio, it should just be fine. It won't be perfect because I don't have a mic or anything like that, but it should be fine for this video, at least, hopefully. So, yeah, I knew there was an audio problem after I got so many comments about it, so hopefully now it's better.
What's going on, everyone? Darkside Phil here, and welcome to the Weekend Preview. Today is Sunday, September 11th, 2016. We've got quite a lot to talk about. Today I've got a mix of kind of updates and stuff for you on the status of how things have been going. I got a big update regarding the upcoming Patron's Choice playthrough for the month of August. I've got updates on Patron stuff that's going on right now. We've also got 3 big games coming out this week, and you, the viewers, are going to have direct input on what I'm actually playing and in what order this coming week, okay? There is a lesser known game, well, not really lesser known, but a lesser, not as interesting kind of episodic release coming out this week. I'll talk about that as well. There's a lot to talk about. Let's put it that way. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to cover. My schedule is shifting a tiny bit later this week from what it usually is. Let's just get into the meat of everything because I got a lot to address in this week in preview, okay?
Okay.
So first off, let's talk about what's going to happen in the next day or so before we get to the new releases and everything that's coming up, all right? Today, I played Nuka-Cola. I played Nuka World, the final expansion to Fallout 4. I've been playing this since Thursday, and I'm still going. This is the longest expansion for Fallout 4. This is one of the longest expansions ever for a Fallout game that I've ever played, and it's actually incredibly fun. I'm really...
He's extending it. He's probably going to finish it today. I guarantee he only dilly-dallied with the Fallout 4 Nuka World DLC because he doesn't want to play Scarface. Which is really shitty of him for many reasons. One being that he is basically refusing to get the views that he would get if he did Scarface. Because everyone's been demanding Scarface, and since he's not giving him Scarface, guess where they're gonna go? They're gonna leave. They're gonna leave and never come back. And whenever he picks up Scarface again, he's gonna be like, "Where's the views?" What? And he's gonna be confused. And it's because he refuses. See, this is the thing with Phil, is that he misses obvious interest. Like, he doesn't listen to that. He only does things that he thinks are interesting, and if they're not interesting, then it's the game's fault, not his. But if he has a game that he's playing that gets a lot of attention, but he happens to not like it, he will slowly kill it. He is trying to kill Scarface. Like, he's trying to make it like not even a thing in people's memory, because he banned people on the stream chat yesterday, Sunday. Whoever mentioned Scarface, if you even said the word Scarface, you would get a ban. And it's ridiculous. So that to me is showing that he's trying to get that out of people's minds, trying to have people forget that Scarface was the game he was playing. That all that kind of shit. He's trying to make it die out. So that's kind of shitty on him for people who wanted to see him and play that game and all that kind of stuff, and now they'll never get to see it. They'll never get to see it, and it's even. It's funnier. It's hilarious that Scarface wasn't even the game that won the poll that he posted. It was, I think, it was San Andreas that won the poll, and he did an executive decision and did Scarface, and now he's trying to kill the playthrough.
Enjoying this DLC. There's just layers of stuff going on with the different raider factions and side quests and scavenger hunting, but also, you know, expanding and doing stuff and turning on the power in this big, great, huge theme park with all these 5 different areas that are completely different themed differently. It's really neat, and I'm definitely enjoying myself, which is why I've been playing it all weekend. Now, it hasn't caught on. In fact, it's a very small group of people who are even watching me play this DLC, mostly because most people don't care about Fallout 4 anymore. Let's face it, Fallout 4 was very hyped when it released. Within like a month or 2 of its release, the hype died down, and now people are kind of like, it should have been better, and there's a lot of heavy criticism.
Where is this criticism coming from? And like, of course, when a game that's like as hyped as Fallout 4 is gonna, you know, even if it didn't get criticism, it probably did somewhere. But like, look at Metal Gear Solid 5. That game had a lot of hype. And when it came out, everyone and their mom wanted to like take it apart and really criticize it for a lot of things. Now, of course, I'm not saying that Metal Gear Solid 5 is a perfect game. I never say that. I mean, I'm aware of its flaws, but I just think that a lot of the times that I've seen people complain about Metal Gear Solid 5 that doesn't sound like a genuine criticism or whatever. They sound like a child, like kind of kicking, like stomping their feet and throwing a tantrum, and not really stringing along an argument about it. They're like, "Oh, it's stupid because you're not Big Boss, and that's dumb." It's like, okay, but anyways, everyone's gonna do that, but who are these people that have been criticizing Fallout 4? Everyone's been playing Fallout 4 when Nuka World came out. It's just he did it after it came out. Of course, it's not going to gather any viewers because people have either already played it or they moved on at that point. So it's not the game. But again, he has to make excuses for why he has low views because apparently the viewers care about his views. Okay.
Criticism about Fallout 4 and what it was.
But
knowing that this is my final chance to play any kind of Fallout 4 because there are no more expansions, I've really been enjoying this final one. So the good news is, I've been enjoying it, the playthrough is ongoing, and it's going to conclude tomorrow, because I'm at the very end. Right now, there's like 3 or 4 kind of side questing lines that I'm going to finish up with more like finding hidden items and scavenging and stuff like that. I just got the power on in the park, which means I can actually go and check out the rides and stuff that I've wanted to check out for quite some time, and I have had a chance to do so, because the power wasn't on until the end of the quest line in the park. And there's maybe a couple odds and ends here or there that I want to do before I end this final run in Fallout 4. So, for those of you who have been following along, regardless of the fact that it's not a lot of people, thank you, because Fallout 4 was my favorite game of last year, and being able to experience this and interact with people and share this with people while I'm doing it is a lot of fun. It's a shame it's not anything mainstream, but that's life, right? Not every game is going to catch on. Fallout 4 did. Its expansions really have not. It's pretty much just like Far Harbor. When I played it, I enjoyed it, but most people weren't really interested in it. It is what it is. There's a little bit of, downtime finishing this up before we get to this week's new releases, all right? So that was today, and tomorrow my live stream will also be the conclusion of Nuka World. So I hope you'll check that out, either live on stream or on demand on DSP Gaming. Tonight, as soon as I finish filming this video, the week in preview, and I upload it, I'm actually got private Q&A videos that I have to film for the patrons for the month of August, so I'm going to film and release those. So if I owe you a private Q&A video and you messaged me on patreon.com this week in response to my initial message last week, you're going to get your video tonight, okay?
I want to see how many people have donated for that goal, for that reward. See how many videos he has to review. See, 70 for $1, 57 for 5, 25. See, it lowers, like the amount of patrons decrease each level. So that really shows that not a lot of people care about him to pledge more. But 53 people. So he has to make 3 videos for people. Oh wow, that's a lot of work, man. It's $70 off.
Might take a little while to upload and process, but you are going to get your video tonight. I'll send you the link. Also, those who did respond to my private messages over the past week on Patreon, I am going to get you your perks. I needed to wait to accumulate all that because I still had people just this morning. A couple people actually just responded. They checked their inbox for the first time, I guess, because it's the weekend. And so now everyone that responded, I'm going to forward all that information to my webmaster. So whether I owe you the $5 forum upgrade so you can vote on the ongoing retro playthrough that's going to happen this month, or if you need to access to the $20 patron Ask the King section, because by the way, Ask the King is taking place later this month, and I'll explain that in a moment because I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding. Originally, I said it was going to be in early September, but about a week or two ago, I changed that to late September, but not everyone knew that. That's going to happen tonight as well. You'll get all these upgrades are going to be submitted to my webmaster tonight, and within the next 1 to 2 days, they should be processed, and everyone should have the access on the kingofhate.com forums that they need, okay? So a lot of patron stuff going on tonight. Once I'm done with all of that, I don't know how long it's going to take, then I'm actually going to work on my King of Fighters 14 review. Right now, I've got all the voiceovers done. I got the music ready. I've got the title card, artwork ready. I got everything ready. I just need to edit it all together in Adobe Premiere. Problem is that takes hours, okay? So I'm going to see, hopefully I can get some progress on it.
See, I gotta say this about his whole editing takes hours and all this kind of stuff. Why hasn't he gotten better at it yet? Usually, the more you do something, the faster you are at doing that thing. Like, that's why a lot of people, when they get the hang of something, they try to push themselves to do more. Like, so like, he has done so many reviews in this year. Like, it's almost been a year since KOGaming's been around, and his videos have stagnated. See, this is the thing. I give credit to Phil when he starts something new, completely new. He starts on the ground level. He tries, and then like somewhere in its life, he then pushes it to some other level. He pushes it to that level, and then it just stays there. So this is the thing with Phil, is that he stagnates a lot of the time with his content because he doesn't try to push it or do anything. Like, so yeah, like when he starts at the ground level with those reviews, those new reviews on KOGaming, it's like, okay, very, I guess bland or boring, whatever. But then he was like, okay, now I'm gonna put like fewer text on the screen. Okay, now I'm gonna change the title to make it more catchy. I'm gonna do all this kind of stuff to the reviews. So then he pushes it to the next level. But now his reviews have kind of stayed at that level. He hasn't done anything different. I guarantee by next year, it's the interest is gonna go away because they've seen the same review over and over and over, just with different games. So now no one's gonna want to watch his reviews anymore by next year, and he's gonna be like wondering why his reviews aren't getting that much views anymore, and he won't try to push his reviews again. He'll just blame either the game, the viewers, or something. He's gonna blame something for why his reviews don't get views, but he won't try to improve his reviews from where it is now because he's happy with where it is because it's getting the views now, but he's not going to try to go anywhere else. He's just gonna stay on this level because he's like, wow, I got a lot of views doing this home print review. Let's just stay at that level, and that's it. He stays there because he sees something that worked and he sticks with it. He doesn't try to do something else with it. He doesn't try to push it further to make it a better video series. He just keeps it there. It's so lazy, and it's just kind of disappointing. I mean, like for instance, if you started taking painting, let's say you took painting 1 in school, and you're probably gonna take a long time to actually paint. You have to put you have to like, you might have to start with the grid, so you might grid out your canvas. Then you might draw. You're gonna start with a pencil, and obviously to draw what you're gonna be painting, and then you're gonna have to like scale it, proportion it. Then you're gonna put the underpaint on it. That's gonna be acrylic. Then you're gonna put on the overpainting, which is gonna be like oil paints and all that stuff. And then you can do mix colors and all that fun stuff. Of course, when you first start out, you're gonna be very slow. It's gonna be very slow, but you're gonna keep doing it. So by the time you go to, like, let's say painting 2, you go to the next class, you're gonna be faster. The to get a painting started, you're gonna be able to do it like within an hour or so. Like you're gonna be able to move quicker with what you're doing. Um, but with Phil, it's just he doesn't move any quicker with his, the way he does it. And to make it more like now with editing, look at Mega 64 for example. They have edited videos for years, and now they just they could put like a little effort into a video, and it will look as good as like their early videos. Like they can edit very well, so it moves faster for them because they've gotten better at it. He doesn't get better at anything. He just kind of stays at a level, and he doesn't, and that's it. It's almost as if like he edits a video, then forgets how to use Adobe Premiere.
Maybe even finish it tonight. If I finish it tonight,
like the only long part about editing a video is really the processing. When you finish which is the end of the editing, basically. Like when you're trying to take what you edited and make into a file, that is the only thing that takes long. Is how long it takes it to load. But other than that, it's it should be getting faster.
Night, great, I'll release it. If not, worst case scenario, I'm going to release it tomorrow night on KOGaming. I think a lot of people are interested to hear my opinion of whether or not I thought King of Fighters 14 was as good as or better than Street Fighter 5, right? Because Street Fighter 5 really had a lot of problems earlier this year for a mainstream fighting game and really didn't live up to the expectations that most people had for it. Now, in the long run, as a competitive game, so I'm going to be doing it on KOGaming either tonight or tomorrow. It depends on how long it. Now in the long run, mainstream fighting game and really didn't live up to the expectations that most people had for it. Now in the long run, as a competitive game, so
he didn't finish his thought. He said like, oh, people didn't have the expectations. It didn't live up to the expectations people had for it. And now as a long-term competitive game, and that's pretty much it's like. You didn't finish your thought. What about the long term? Whatever, Phil.
I'm going to be doing it on KOGaming either tonight or tomorrow. It depends on how long it takes me to edit the video. All right. Now, if I do finish the King of Fighters 14 review tonight, then tomorrow night I'm going to do a mini review of Nuka World. I'm going to explain what I liked and disliked about the DLC and as a final kind of send-off to Fallout 4, but only if I have time. If I'm still working on the King of Fighters 14 review tomorrow night, then I'm not going to do that, okay? So it all depends on how much time I have and how things progress. Now, FYI, in regards to this ongoing patron poll, there's a poll right now. I opened it last Sunday night on KingofHate.com for patrons for the month of August. They've been voting all week. The choices are, for a playthrough later in September, either Jak 3 HD, Banjo-Kazooie HD, or Crash Bandicoot 3. Now, there's been all this different reasoning. People have been saying, don't vote for Crash 3 because the Crash 3 HD collection's coming out next year, and Phil could just play it in that. You should vote for Jak 3 because it's been a million years since Phil did the first two, and this is maybe the last chance for him.
And last chance. And Jak 3 is like also the Area Lords game. He let Phil borrow it. I think it's about 5 years. I think, and yeah, now he has to. It's so shitty how Phil handled Jak 3 and poor Area Lord. Area Lord, if you're watching this, I hope you are. Get your game back. If it doesn't win the poll, just tell Phil, I want my game back. Just do that, man. At this point, Phil owns it. At this point, Phil owns your game. So.
Even finish them. Well, you should vote for Banjo-Kazooie, because if you vote for Banjo-Kazooie, he can play that game before Banjo-Tooie releases, which may be next year.
Before Banjo-Tooie releases, and he never. But by the way, side note, I did watch this video before, so I kind of know the general beat of this video. Unfortunately for you guys, I guess, but he never corrects himself there. He literally believes Banjo-Tooie comes out next year. I mean, he's always talking about ukulele or whatever, but he called it Banjo-Tooie. and Banjo Tooie's on the replay. Oh man, I can't wait for Banjo Tooie to come out, guys. Banjo Tooie's my favorite game. I can't wait for it to come out next year.
So it'll be good to have that groundwork behind to know where it came from. So I could see reasons to vote and not to vote for each game. Right now, it's been pretty close. The last time I checked, which was last night, Banjo-Kazooie was slightly in the lead by a few votes, okay? But Jak 3 and Crash 3 were right behind it, so it's going to be a very closely contested poll, I get the feeling.
I honestly feel that he wants Banjo-Kazooie to win, so he's trying to like hint that that's what he wants. He wants Banjo-Kazooie to win. So, I'm sorry, Air Lord, you're never getting your game back. So, rip Jak 3 and rip Scarface.
The poll will be open for one more week, and that's why I'm giving time for these patrons who need their forum accounts upgraded to get them upgraded and vote over the course of this week. It's going to be probably like this time, maybe next weekend. I'll tally up the votes, I'll close the poll, I'll announce the winner, and then in late September, I'll schedule it in. That'll be the beginning of one of those playthroughs, okay? So, if you're a patron from August, and you pledge $5 or more, and you didn't check at patreon.com this past week, there's not much I can do. I give you a week to respond to my private message so I could get your forum account upgraded so you could vote in this poll. So please vote, all right? Now, one final thing, and then we'll get to the new games for this week. Ask the King. I just mentioned it. Ask the King is going to take place this month. It's going to be on Thursday, September 28th, 2016. All right, so that's good. That's exciting because I haven't done Ask the King in over 2 months. It's been that busy during the summer that I really haven't had a chance to do it. I'm going to be doing it at the end of September. You can submit your questions right now on the kingofhate.com forums. There's already a thread for it. It's been there for a long time. All right, I strongly urge you do. Or if you're owed to get your question answered for sure because you pledged $20 in the past 2 months to my Patreon, the forum thread for that is also live. You should have access to what's called, I believe it's the Auspicious Patrons Lounge, and you should have access to that thread, okay? Now, if you pledge 20 bucks on Patreon and you don't have access to the thread, you got to contact me because if I don't know, I can't figure out what went wrong. I have every month message people on Patreon expecting to get the responses so I can upgrade your forum accounts. If I don't get your response, I can't upgrade you. This actually happened to someone last week. I got a
But I like how it's the Patreon's responsibility to contact him, not Phil's responsibility. You know, the guy who you gave the money to. That's like going to GameStop. You pre-order the game, like you pre-order, let's say you pre-order Dead Rising 4. Okay, let's use that as an example. Oh no, or Last Guardian, whichever game. Actually, whichever game. You just go to the GameStop to pre-order a game, and you pre-order it. You give them their money and all that. You go home. And then, you know, around the time the game comes out, GameStop doesn't give you a notification that it comes out, and you know you go there so you go there because you're like, okay, you know, this is the release day, and I'm gonna go there. And then, you know, they tell you like, look, you did not contact us that to let us know that the game's coming out today, so you don't have your game. Like, I know that's not a great analogy, but it shouldn't be the patron's responsibility to contact Phil. It should be Phil's responsibility to contact them. The only thing that's the patron's responsibility is checking their inbox. That's it. But but they shouldn't have to go out of their way to get his attention to get their forum access stuff. And I like how he said that, oh, if you didn't do this previous week, you're screwed. And then he's like, well, this happened to this guy last week, so I'm going to fix him this week. It's like, so then why not just have all these people just do their stuff this week, then? Whatever.
email someone's like, oh man, I didn't realize I needed to contact you or respond to that 1 p.m. if I responded to another. No, you had to. And he didn't have access, so I'm going to get him access this week. So, that's the deal. Ask the King at the end of this month. Alright, now let's talk about the games, the new games coming up this week. Because there's actually 4 of them, so let's cover our bases. First, Recore. This is the puzzle/action platformer that's an Xbox One exclusive. We've seen footage of this game over the past 2 years at E3, and it looks pretty interesting. It looks creative. You know, these little cores that are like cybernetic cores that you put inside these robots, and they activate, and one could be like a big, burly, strong robot that knocks down walls. Another one could be like a spider robot that climbs walls and helps you up them. Some of them have more combat capabilities than others. It seems like a really unique premise. How it's going to actually pan out to be a full game, I don't know, but just the premise of the game looks really interesting. So that's one new release this week, all right? Second new release, BioShock Remastered Collection. It's actually a collection of BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite, redone for modern consoles. So much improved visuals, I'm sure. I don't know if it actually has the multiplayer from BioShock 2. In fact, I'd be very surprised if it did, because why would they have like more server support for this game that's really old? I don't know. But
well, they have server support for Resident Evil 5's Versus mode, which I thought no one really liked, but apparently people like it because I see people play it. So here you go.
for me, excuse me, I'm interested in replaying BioShock 1. Here's why. Number one, I played BioShock 1 back in
Here you
2009
go.
on my Dark Side Phil channel. So we're talking the dark ages when I first started on YouTube, when my camera quality was absolute crap, the audio quality was crap, and I remember when I was playing this game, it was the middle of summer, and I was drinking half the time. I was like in my condo having a freaking, a daiquiri or something. I was half cocked during it, slurring my words. Half the time I wasn't even saying anything. The volume levels were off. It was funny because I remember the first half of it was actually really good, and then after that I was trying to rush through it to finish it, and it ended up not being overall a great playthrough because of that, okay? I love the original BioShock, and I kind of want to give it a fair shake and do a full official playthrough of it that's not half-cocked and ruined by quality, so I love to replay this remastered version of it this week, okay?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm so tired of hearing, well, I was drunk in the last playthrough. Now I'm gonna be like amazing, and I'm not gonna be drunk. Like, who fucking cares? And as I said, like, his old playthrough sounded much more energetic and fun and entertaining. Now they're just like boring. So yeah, okay.
The third release is Dead Rising Remastered Collection, which features Dead Rising 1, 2, and 3, plus all the DLCs in a collection of games. Now, this is interesting because I have never played Dead Rising 1 for YouTube. I owned Dead Rising 1 a long time ago. I'm talking pre-Dead Rising 2. I owned Dead Rising 1, and I played it for like a couple hours.
Yeah, well, I would expect you to own Dead Rising 1 before Dead Rising 2 because, well, Dead Rising 2 came out later.
And I didn't like it. And the reason was number one, I hated the controls. I thought the controls of the game were very frustrating. And I just like, why can't they be typical third-person action controls? Why are they so different? I just didn't get it, all right? Number two, because the game is tough. I remember the game being very difficult. Like, I got to one or two bosses. I could not fucking kill these bosses no matter what I did. Now, keep in mind, that was before I ever played Dead Rising 2 or 3, before I learned a ton about the franchise, and before I ever did anything for YouTube. That was the year between 2007 and 2008 when I was trying to re-immerse myself in console gaming, but I was way behind the curve because I hadn't played them in like 10 years. So I sucked at every game I played, and I was just, very frustrated. Even though I probably will still be frustrated at parts of Dead Rising, I think if I were to play the remastered edition as a playthrough, not only would it be entertaining, but it would be a learning experience, especially because guess what? Dead Rising 4 is coming out in December, and the main protagonist of the series, Frank West, is back. So it would be cool to see the origins of the series before I play the new iteration in December, all right? So I'm excited for that, and I'm thinking all three of those are going to make pretty good playthroughs for kind of a mid-September kind of a deal, all right? Now, there is a fourth release this week. It's a very minor one, though. It's Minecraft Story Mode, the final episode. I don't even know if this is episode 7 or 8. I think it's episode 8 or something like that. Actually, it might be episode 5, 6, 7, 8. It might be episode 9. I don't even know at this point. Because remember, it was supposed to originally be 5 episodes. Then they decided to do expansions for Season 2. I'm so confused. The bottom line is I've liked the continuation of the Minecraft episodes. But because of what they did, a bait and switch where they claimed, oh, it would be one season and then it continued to a second. Most hype for it, like, is dead. Most people don't care about this anymore. No one's really, when I play the game, I don't get a lot of people interested in it when I do finally play these episodes. And more often than not, they release these episodes during a huge release week with other stuff. They did it twice already this year, and again, they're doing it again. I got 3 other major games I'd rather play. Oh, let's release the final episode of Minecraft. So unfortunately, Minecraft is like the back burner game. I'm not really concerned about it. I'm not really interested in it that much. I do want to eventually do it, but I'm not doing it until I get through all the other stuff that I want to do first, all right? So here's how it's going to work. Tonight, on my Twitter, right over here, @TheyCallMeDSP, I'm posting up a poll. I'm going to make it the pinned poll on my Twitter page for 2 days, tonight and Monday. All right? You need to vote in that poll. Do you want to see Recore? Do you want to see BioShock Remastered? Or do you want to see Dead Rising Remastered as the featured game this week? I need your feedback, and based directly upon your feedback, it's going to determine how I order my playthroughs, all right? More than likely, whatever ends up being the leader of this poll, I'm probably going to do as my main stream on Tuesday. And then whatever I feel like I want to play more, I'll do as a second stream on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll flip those. Maybe I'll do the same thing. Main stream the game that people wanted more. Secondary stream the game that people wanted less. And then Thursday, the same thing. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm promising you double streaming days. 6 gameplay streams within 3 days are coming, all right? And those are going to be the usual time, around noon Pacific time, my first stream, and then around 7 p.m. Pacific time, my second stream. I realize not a lot of people can attend that second stream because it is late, but hey, I'm cramming it in. I'm trying to do as much as I can in the day, so that's how it's going to go. Friday of this week is weird because the bottom line is Leanna's schedule at her work has...
By the way, I voted for Dead Rising. I really wanted to see Dead Rising 1, but the other thing is, I think he also said that his poll doesn't matter. And here's why he does these polls and why he doesn't listen to the polls sometimes. He does these polls to validate his decision. He knows that, like, hey, if whatever I want to do doesn't win the poll, I'm still going to do it anyway because, I want to play that game. But if the game he wants wins the poll, guess what? He gets, not only gets to play the game that he wants and it validates what he wanted to play, but he gets to say, see, I listen to fans! So it's like it's fucking stupid. That's why he does these polls. There's really no point, realistically, to have these polls, but he wants to do it just so that he can say that he listens to his fans, or that, he gets to validate his opinion.
Shifted around a little bit, and now she has to work weekends a lot. And because she has to work weekends, it means that we're probably not going to be able to do our Saturdays out. For those who aren't aware, typically what would happen is all week I work tons, all day I'm streaming, I'm editing, I'm doing everything all day. 1 day a week, I take half a day, usually it was Saturday nights, where after I did my gameplay stream, Leanna and I would go out and we would have dinner together, maybe go see a movie or do something like go to...
But Phil, I thought that you don't have time to spend with Panda Lee. Remember in the State of DSP address, whatever, he said that he has no time to hang out with his girlfriend. Now he's saying that he has time to hang out with his girlfriend. Guys, I don't know, but he needs our Patreon money right now.
Arcade, or just go window shopping. We do some shopping we need to do, grocery shopping, all the essentials. Basically, it's our date night. We get one night a...
I like how he started that list with all this stuff you don't need, like movies, going out for dinner, going around the town, window shopping, and grocery shopping, and etc. Like, grocery shopping was at the tail's end of that. So clearly, he doesn't really care about what's important, and he cares more about luxury stuff. But that might be a little too nitpicky, I guess. But what? And you don't have time to spend time with your girlfriend. Okay. Why do your viewers care, Phil?
A week that we get to do this, okay?
Okay. Why is your relationship our problem? Why should his viewers care about him and Panda Lee?
But because now her schedule has changed and she's going to be working a lot on weekends, it's not going to be like that anymore. So this week in particular, this Friday is basically our normal Saturday. So this Friday there will be a gameplay stream, all right? Depending on how things are going with all the games that I'm playing during the week, we'll see what game it'll be. But there will be nothing Friday night. Friday night, Leanna and I are going to be going out and having our night out because Saturday she has to work all day, okay? Which means Saturday will be a day full of gameplay. It'll be a full gameplay stream and then probably a second stream Saturday night, okay? And that's how it's going to continue on all week. This week is going to be one of the busiest gaming weeks that I've done so far this year.
Like I said, it's only for this week, but then he said, well, now she's not going to be working weekend. She's now going to be working weekends now. So, like, is she be working weekends every week, or is it just for this week? So, Okay, well, guess we'll have to see you next week in preview.
Just because I'm juggling 3 games. All right, now I'm gonna play it by ear. I'm gonna listen to how I get feedback from the viewers, and if people are watching me play one game and they voted for it, but now it's kind of getting boring. Want to see Phil play more of this other game? Maybe I'll shift the schedule around. Okay, I like that. I like that I have 3 games and I have the flexibility to go between all of them. Now, once I finish some of these games, all right, for example, Recore is a new game. I want to review it. So when I finally finish Recore, whenever I do, there will be a review of that up over on KOGaming. That's the channel where I'm doing all of my edited reviews and videos. So that I'll be reviewing. I probably will not be reviewing Dead Rising 1 or Bioshock because they're old games. And the bottom line is, who wants to see a review of a ridiculously old game, right? Especially when I've got other stuff.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I wish he did more impressions videos. He could have done an impressions video on Dead Rising 1 and Bioshock 1. He could have done 2 impression videos, 1 or 2, on either one of those, and that probably would have gotten some views. But he's not doing that. This is why I'm disappointed with KOGaming. There's no impression videos anymore. The impression series is basically dead. And it's so fucking pitiful. It's so pitiful. But he might do one for Recore, but who fucking gives a shit about Recore?
Stuff to get to. For example, Minecraft Story Mode, the final episode. I have to play that this week.
He has to.
In addition, next Tuesday, so a week from this Tuesday, that was actually September 20th, is the final episode, or it's the final episode. I completely misspoke. It's the next episode of Batman the Telltale series. Now, people really liked my playthrough of the first Batman episode last month. It was actually one of my, if you can believe it, one of the most viewed things that I actually did in the month of August was Batman episode 1.
I wonder why. It's not like maybe Batman is a very big character or anything, right?
People really enjoyed that playthrough. So I'm going to be doing episode 2
next
week.
Enjoyed it.
That's going to be a priority on that Tuesday. But outside...
Yeah, because they enjoyed it because they watched it, not... Okay.
Of that week is free. And I'm like not exaggerating. There's nothing going on for that entire week, which means I could take my time with Recore and Dead Rising and Bioshock and keep playing them throughout that week and not have to worry about, oh no...
Yeah, rip Scarface. He doesn't want to play Scarface. Nope, no Scarface.
There's too many other games that I'm juggling, all right? And that's a good thing, because having 3 games that I'm juggling, plus Minecraft, plus Batman, would probably be a lot. If there was new releases, it would be too much for me to handle, okay? Now, the last week of September, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I don't know how much of it I'm going to be doing. Let me explain. The last week of September, the final episode of the Hitman episodic game, or excuse me, it's not the final episode, it's the next to last episode of the Hitman episodic game releases. I definitely will be playing that, okay? But there's also releases such as Forza Horizon 3, XCOM 2 on consoles, as well as Sonic the Hedgehog, or I think it's Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, and it might even be something else, too. I think I wrote down Shantae. I think there's a Shantae game coming out. There's a lot going on in late September, all right? I don't know if I'm going to be playing any of those outside of Hitman. It all depends on what's going on with the playthroughs, because the bottom line is, like I just promised you guys and gals, I'm going to also be starting this retro playthrough, either Banjo-Kazooie, Jak 3, or Crash Bandicoot 3, depending on what wins the poll. So being that I'm already balancing 3 major games, and then I'm going to be starting a retro...
Remember when he said September was a dead month, and he has a lot of time to do things? I remember. Everyone remembers. Phil doesn't remember.
Game. I don't want to promise you, oh, I'm also going to cover all this stuff in late September. In fact, that whole week might be all skips. I might skip all of those games, depending on what happens with the ongoing playthroughs that I'm doing. All right? It just may happen. I'm sorry, but it just may happen. It may have to be all skips, because those other games are what I want to focus on, and they're, in my opinion, they're more important, and I want to play them more than the other ones. Okay? So that's kind of the at a glance what's remaining for September, you know. The end of Nuka World, the review for King of Fighters 14, maybe a review for Nuka World, the 3 new games this week that are dependent on your voting, a review of Recore eventually, Minecraft Story Mode, the final episode. Batman Telltale Games, the next episode. Hitman, the next episode. And whatever wins the Retro Games poll. That's kind of what you can expect for the rest of the month. If there is time, I will do something else. And it does need to be said, the entire first week of October, there's nothing going on. There's actually no new releases until October 7th, which is the release of Mafia 3, which I am very much looking forward to after playing Mafia 2 earlier this year. I'm so happy I did. Mafia 3 I'm really looking forward to as a fun playthrough to start the hardcore gaming season right, because then after that it's like, you know, WWE, Gears of War 4, the PlayStation Virtual Reality, Battlefield 1, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Last Guardian, and just keeps going like that every week. Tons of heavy-hitting releases that I'm looking forward to. So maybe that first week of October, if I have time, because I wrap up all the other stuff from September, maybe one of the things I skipped in late September, like that, like Sonic Boom or XCOM 2 or something like that, maybe I'll start playing one of those during early October. We'll have to see how it goes. All right, again, I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver. All I'm going to tell you is what I'm interested in, what I'm kind of estimating, but I am promising playthroughs of the games that I mentioned for September in this video. Okay, that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to talk about. I have a lot of work to do tonight. Like I said, patron stuff, and then trying to work on a review. I got a ton of stuff to do, so I want to get to it. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been joining me along. Even though the stuff I've been doing recently, I'll be honest, Deus Ex, Attack on Titan, it's all stuff that nothing blew us away.
Deus Ex, okay.
Last year was different. Last year, if you remember, late August had Until Dawn. An amazing playthrough came out of nowhere, right? A game that I didn't even see coming ended up being an amazing playthrough. Metal Gear Solid 5, that was a huge heavy hitter. Super Mario...
But the copyright strikes last year, Phil, and Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't get that much of an attraction. And, man, it's not like he named his stream after something that gets more views than him. Right? Guys, he didn't name his stream something that threatened his business and ruined his business, right? He never did that.
Mario Maker, that was a huge heavy hitter. And I actually remember there was one other game at the end of September. So we had, like, through late August through September, it was, like, amazing.
What about Mad Max? He loved Mad Max. He loved it more than Metal Gear Solid 5, and now he's not talking about Mad Max.
Releases and fun content. This year it's kind of, this stuff hasn't been really great. It's new releases, but they're just kind of meh games. They're not like amazing blow you away games.
I mean, I'll kind of give him the meh in this context because it's like not a review and it's not a, but how is it? It's the game's fault that no one watched it.
I'm hoping with the stuff this week, people will get excited again. All right, I hope, because I really need more interest in my stuff especially coming up in October with all the new releases. I need to get people back in the habit of, I gotta check out Phil Kelver and the new games. I want to see the new videos from Phil. I need it. This is the end of the year. This is my big time for business when it comes to gaming, and I hope that we can get that invigoration back. Okay. That's it, folks.
I like how like watching his videos is like a job for his fans. Like, excuse me, you guys need to watch my videos. Come on, you need to like rally together and sit down and watch my videos, and you need to get into the habit of watching my videos. Like, it's so weird how he handles his fans. It's so weird. It's so weird. His relationship he has with his fans.
Thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it. Without further ado, thank you to the following August patrons who made this upcoming retro playthrough possible. Peace out, everyone.
Okay. Now, let's see if this is captured. Okay, good. It's capturing it perfectly. Yeah, so better than Street Fighter 5? The King of Fighters 14 review. What a great title! Oh, I didn't take the comments on the weekend preview. Well, we can do that after. Let's take the comments in this video. It's really weird. You're the only person saying the netcode is bad. I've been playing ranked modes since the patch. I'm rank 16, and let me tell you, King of Fighters has the best netcode I've ever had in a fighting game. Okay, no lag at all, and also most people have been saying this. Even Maximilian. Well, this guy's obviously a detractor because whatever Phil says is right. You forgot about Guilty Gear. That game came out. I want that game so bad. I know it's clickbait, but I noticed the clickbait, but it's all good, Phil. Great review though. Keep it up. He's been doing clickbait in every review. How did he just now notice? Great review. A lot of people say the netcode is the best of the on the console and one of the best ever for a fighting game, and trustworthy people in the FGC. Also, Street Fighter V came out extremely balanced with a minimum of apparent broken stuff, if any. Yeah, I agree. Street Fighter V is actually it's the most balanced I've seen in Street Fighter, but now there's a lot of like I think is now they just need to tweak some damage outputs that some characters have. You know, like I think some characters deal too much. Like a character like Alex, like I think his Hyper Bomb or Power Bomb does a lot of damage, but that makes sense because that's a hard move to pull off. So it makes sense for that to do a major damage. Zangief, I think his 360 should be nerfed. I think that does way too much damage, but whatever. Let's watch this.
What's going on, everyone? Phil here, and welcome to KOGaming. Different genres of games suffer.
We get the robot Phil.
From the climate of the time. Sometimes they'll have highs, sometimes they'll have lows, and fighting games certainly have been no exception. There was a period of time in the last few years where fighting games were at very high highs, with the resurgence of communities such as Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, but 2016 so far has been a pretty bumpy road. Earlier this year, we had the release of the ultimately hyped Street Fighter V, but unfortunately, it didn't live up to expectations, being incredibly bare bones at launch, having very lackluster matchmaking and online play for the first few weeks of release, and basically the people who weren't super hardcore into the competitive side of the game pretty much critically panned the game, saying it just doesn't have enough content and or things for people who aren't going to play this at a tournament capacity to pick it up and buy it. By the way, the game had record low sales numbers for a numbered Street Fighter entry, pretty much has been recognized as a sales failure, and even Capcom management has publicly acknowledged they screwed up and they're going to go back to the drawing board next time around.
Where did Capcom say this? Capcom didn't say this about Street Fighter V. The only thing that they said about Street Fighter V is that they learned with Street Fighter 4. That they were like, oh yeah, we fucked up with Street Fighter 4 because not a lot of people liked the re-releases that game got. That's what they were talking about. They weren't saying, oh, we fucked up with Street Fighter V. I don't remember them ever saying that. Look, I'm going to test you, my viewers. I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm giving you an order. You don't have to, but I'm just asking. Can you find me the article that Capcom said that they screwed up with Street Fighter V? Because I feel like that I would have seen that all over Twitter if that's the case, but I don't remember them saying that on Twitter. But whatever, I mean, here you go. I mean, Phil bring up the potential slander of Capcom because he really hates Capcom now.
Please modern consumers. So, it's been pretty slow since then. In late August of 2016, a lesser-known franchise called the King of Fighters 14 released a new game. Now, for those who don't know, this series is made by SNK Playmore. It's been around since its original iteration way back in 1994 for arcades, as well as being ported to the Neo Geo home console. Can the King of Fighters 14 hold a candle to a major franchise like Street Fighter? Let's talk a little bit about that right now. The King of Fighters 14 excels in many ways compared to other modern fighters, but
why is he, like, King of Fighters is a known franchise. Like, it may not be as a widely known franchise compared to Street Fighter, but, you know, I knew King of Fighters when I was a kid because I seen commercials for King of Fighters. Because I remember their first 3D King of Fighters game they did back in 2000 or something, and I think that game got a lot of critical pan and all that shit. Like, a lot of people hated it. But I own King of Fighters 13. I like that game. I like the sprites. I don't like what they did with this game, in my opinion. But whatever, it is what it is. But it's more known than Skullgirls, Guilty Gear, Nitro Blasters, Blaze Blue is getting there. Like Blaze Blue is kind of getting more traction, but it's still kind of it's still there. I feel like there's more. I feel like I'm missing a few other niche titles, but you know what I'm getting at.
But finds itself coming up short in a lot of others. One of the ways that it definitely excels is the roster size. The King of Fighters 14 has over 40 selectable fighters at launch, and then once you play through the story mode once, you can unlock 2 boss characters for a whopping 50 total fighters in the roster. You will find yourself very hard pressed to find another modern fighting game that offers this amount of selection on the characters.
But the issue that a lot of fighters have with big cast rosters, and basically there is a fighting game, Street Fighter, and not Street Fighter. Well, Alpha 3 has a big cast, like especially Alpha 3 Max. Max has a lot of characters in that. So that has a lot of characters. Super Smash Brothers has a lot of characters, and I think even Mortal Kombat X has a lot of characters too. But the issue that people have, like the issue that this opens though, is that what was I gonna say? The issue that it has is that it has more balancing issues, and there might be some clone characters in the mix somewhere, and that's the thing. Like that, like we have like a small group of characters, a roster of characters. I think that's a little bit more. You can easily get into that easily, and it's easy to balance those characters. Not saying that it's impossible to balance 50 characters, but I just think that it's a little bit better to have a smaller roster sometimes. But they might make this work, to be honest.
Select screen. The fighting styles of the characters are greatly varied. Some of them are more slow and lumbering, some of them are fast moving, some of them have high combo ability, some of them are just more about dealing pure damage, some of them are more defensive while others are more offensive, and even the character design ranging from typical kung fu fighters to more polished martial artists, people who don't even look like they belong fighting, cartoonish style characters, anime style. I mean, everything is thrown into the King of Fighters roster. For those who are longtime fans of the franchise, you'll be very pleased to find out that about half the cast is actually returning from the classic King of Fighters games, while the other half is purely new. And I have never seen a fighting game with this many new characters in the roster at one time, but because they retained a bunch of the classic characters, I don't think anyone who's a longtime fan of the series is going to be too disappointed and say, oh, there's too many new or not enough old. It seems like the perfect balance. And one of the major positives about the King of Fighters 14 is that unlike games like Street Fighter V, they didn't attempt to dumb down the game for modern gameplay audiences and make everything the same style of character. Let me give you an example. Traditionally in fighting games, you've got characters which need rounded motions for their special moves to come out, and sometimes you have charge characters, sometimes you'll have characters that are fully dependent on highly complex grapples and inputs in order to progress, while you have other characters that maybe are a little bit easier to play and rely on either projectiles or zoning. The King of Fighters 14 is a perfect balance of all of these styles. Now, certainly I'm not saying that they're all balanced and that they don't have one character who maybe is more powerful than another, because the bottom line is when you have a roster of 50 plus characters, you're going to find out that certain characters are going to be easier to pick up and are going to be a lot easier to do high combo ability and damage, zoning, etc., than some of the other maybe slower, more lumbering characters of a different gameplay style. But the bottom line is this: at least the variety is there. Not every character has every motion the same for a special move. They didn't dumb down the gameplay of charge characters like Street Fighter V did. They really stuck true to their roots.
And playing down charge characters. What did they dumb down for charge characters? Charge characters that, like, I played Alex. Alex is a charge character. I played a little bit of Balrog. He's a charge character. Bison might have been a charge character. Might be a charge character. The only character that they really dumbed down in that game is honestly Nash. Nash is so easy in that game. Like, because I talked to a guy who mained Nash in the Alpha series, and when he was playing him in 5, he was like, yeah, they made him really easy. And so I don't understand what he means by they dumbed down charge characters. Because what do they do to nerf them? Because they still have their charge moves. I mean, when I play as Balrog, I couldn't do shit with him because I didn't know his charge moves very well. They didn't dumb him down. The only thing that they did in Street Fighter V was that they had more Shoto characters, or characters that just need to do like core circle stuff and all that. Which I don't think that's even a bad thing, because it's not really like the inputs that need to be complex. It's just how you use the combos and how you can tell and all that stuff. It's competitive in its own way, and yeah, it is kind of opening for a more casual audience to get into it. But I don't see that as a bad thing either, because like when I played Alpha 3, I got into the other Street Fighter games. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's like Street Fighter 5 is fine. I don't really see it being a dumbed down experience, but whatever.
The King of Fighters 14 very much feels like you're playing a game developed by people who knows what they're doing when designing a fighting game engine. Now, some of the new additions are super cancels, where during a combo, you can maybe do a super combo and then cancel into a higher level super combo if you have enough super meters stocked into your stock bar, as well as the new max mode, by which you use one super stock in order to basically become a supercharged character. If you now perform your special moves with 2 buttons instead of 1, you'll get a powered up or souped up version of that move that will get more hits and more damage and lead to high combo ability. So canceling into max mode during a combo can lead to some pretty incredible high damage cancels that can be incredibly devastating, and especially if you have enough super meter to pull off a high level super cancel into one of the biggest, highest level supers in the game, you could potentially take off 50 to 60% of your enemy's life bar.
Look, the reason why he has, in these reviews, he has like he stumbles and jutters over words is because he's not taking any breaths in between his sentences, and he's talking really fast and artificially, so he's trying to put as much information as he can in 21 minutes than he would just by talking normally. Some of my comments I've seen on my videos have been for me to talk slowly, to be more clear, and that's why I talk. That's why I kind of have to stop myself when I talk sometimes, because I don't want to be like this, where I'm gonna be talking like this, and then when I'm talking about Phil, like this, and then when you hear his videos are like it's very like grating to listen to, and even when I'm talking and I do that, it really sucks, because then it's like, oh, I should have said this better. Because like when you deliver something that's like it has a lot of like emphasis on, and you deliver it like that, it's gonna suck, and these videos suck.
With one hit. The difference here from other fighting games is that it takes a while to build up that much meter. It's not something you're going to get within a few seconds and immediately blow through and instantly win the game. Also, the King of Fighters 14 retains the classic formula of 3-on-3 combat. You're not just controlling one character, you're controlling a team of 3, and you'll always fight 1-on-1 without any tagging possible. So you may have one really strong character to start out, but if you don't have a lot of skill with the other characters, you can end up still losing the match if you don't have enough knowledge and or gameplay experience against whoever you're facing, so you have to be pretty careful there. I definitely like the formula of King of Fighters. This is one that has worked since 1994. SNK knows what they're doing, and in the modern era, it still holds up.
They know what they're doing.
Let's talk game modes, because unlike Street Fighter V, the King of Fighters 14 actually...
But doesn't if they stick to also make it archaic, though, Phil? So then King of Fighters 14 is archaic.
Has a ton of them at launch. That's right, they're not planning to patch in stuff and promising you the world in the next 6 months. Instead, they gave you a complete package when you paid your $60 for the game. There's story mode. Now, to be clear here, story mode...
But the story mode that they gave in Street Fighter V was free. All these things that they offered in Street Fighter V were free. Same with characters. If you earn fight money, you get that stuff for free. It would be different if you had to pay for that. If you had to pay for story mode, I would agree that that's fucking shit. But you get it for free. There's a difference. Yeah, so there you go.
Mode is not typically the story mode you would expect. It's basically closer to the traditional arcade or ladder mode, where you're going to go through a series of maybe 8 to 10 fights against CPU-controlled opponents at varying levels of AI difficulty. Then you're going to finally fight a boss, have a little bit of a cutscene, fight the final boss, and then you'll have a team or character-specific ending played at the end of the game, and that's why they consider it the story, because you can only see those cutscenes by completing this mode. Is it anything to write home about? No, and the bottom line is you'll finish it within about 30 minutes for each team that you select, but it's there, and it's nice that they had that content. That traditional mode that's been in every fighting game that was completely omitted from Street Fighter V is here, and that's a good thing. You've also got various offline modes, including training, trials. That's right, at launch there's 5 different trials for each character, teaching you advanced combos and strategies. There's also a very multi-level difficulty tutorial that teaches you the basics of the combat engine, so you're not just trying to learn for yourself, you actually have the computer telling you some basics, so you kind of jump in with a little bit of previous knowledge. There's also time attack mode, where you're attempting to kill a certain amount of enemies and with a certain amount of health as quickly as you possibly can. And there's also survival mode, an endless run mode where you're put up against an endless array of enemies that are controlled by the AI. The AI actually ramps up every single fight and gets more difficult as you progress on. You will recover a little bit of health for each victory that you have, but you never fully recover your health, so you really have to micromanage and do well and do as best as you can against the AI. I found that using some classic AI exploits allowed me to blow through this mode and beat every single one of the 50 characters. By the time I got to the end, I was already bored and said, man, I've already been playing for 40 minutes and I just killed myself. But most people are probably going to have more difficulty because they're not used to playing against this kind of AI and might have a little bit more difficulty finding those kind of exploits. So there's a lot of offline content and hours of stuff to do with these 50 characters when you play before you ever hit to the online mode. But now let's move on and talk a little bit about that. Online mode also features several different kinds of gameplay. You've got ranked, where you're going to be automatically matched up against someone else of a skill level. It's going to be a 3-on-3 classic match. You're locked into a team that you previously select before you even enable this mode, so their way there can be no chance of counter picking at the character select screen. And you're blindly matched against 10 different people. Your first 10 matches will then give you a ranking placement, and then you'll be ranked against people of your similar rank. And, the more wins you get, the higher rank you gain. If you lose, you're going to lose points, you're going to lose rungs on the ladder. The problem with ranked mode is that it's the laggiest mode in the game. I'm not lying, I'm not exaggerating. It pretty much is almost unplayable 9 times out of 10 when you try to play ranked gameplay. Sometimes you can't even find someone who's playing it because the players have collectively kind of panned it, saying it is so laggy and bad that we don't want to play this mode. And it sucks because usually this would have been the competitive mode for a game, but because it's so poorly implemented in the King of Fighters 14, it's pretty much ignored, and that's a shame. So now let's talk about the other online modes, which are called free mode. When you join free mode, you're then asked what kind of gameplay would you like to play? A typical 3-on-3 character match, or maybe you just want to do a more traditional fighting game 1-on-1 style match with multiple rounds, or do you want to do this new mode called party mode, by which each player will control a different character on a team? Let's take these one by one. First of all, the 3-on-3 mode is the most traditional mode in the game, and it's the one that most people are playing online, so that's probably the one you're going to want to select. It will bring you into a party system. Now, this party system is bizarre, okay? You can only have up to 12 players in a room at a time. Once they join the room, you then have the option to join 2 setups of games, and once you join those setups of games, you have to wait for enough other people to manually join. There's no automatic matchmaking in the unranked modes. It's all dependent on the people kind of matching themselves into matches, which could be a little bit confusing and a little bit annoying because maybe you just want to play a match quickly. Why do I have to wait in order to find someone who's going to match up and ready up in a lobby with me before we enable it? I just want to get going, and unfortunately there really is no viable mode to do that in the King of Fighters 14. Now, it's pretty much the same no matter which of the 3 style modes that you pick. You have to move down into a different menu, you have to put your portrait there, hit the button to enable, it'll start the game, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll load up and you'll get a viable game to play. I say hopefully because I've experienced, even though I waited 2 weeks since the release of King of Fighters 14 to make this review, because SNK promised a patch that would improve the net performance of the game.
I thought he was gonna. He gave him 1 week to release the patch, and it took him 2 weeks to make the review. Tough guy Phil, guys. Tough guy Phil.
That the online gameplay is pretty bad. Initially, the first week that I played it, it played almost in slow motion. Matches looked like they were monstrously delayed. It was absolutely impossible to even control what you were trying to do because everything was running so slowly, obviously because the latency and the connections and the peer-to-peer style gameplay that they've created for the multiplayer is just insufficient for the modern era. Then they patched it, and they claimed that it was better, and I heard from tons of people that the online play had been dramatically improved, so I very happily ran online to play it again, only to find out that, yeah, the visuals looked better, and what I mean by that is the gameplay doesn't appear to be laggy just by watching the match, but what you don't realize is that the inputs that people are pushing are upwards of a third to a half of a second delayed. So even though it appears that everything's going right in the match, everything there is happening a half a second after someone presses the button, basically making it completely illegitimate gameplay. I'm really disappointed because if this game had great online play, it would have probably been a game that I would have stuck with and played and would have been a tournament favorite and would have got a lot of widespread kind of appeal. But at least in my experience, the online gameplay of the King of Fighters 14 is just simply subpar. Now again, I've actually heard from people saying, I got perfect connections every time I play. But the bottom line is, a lot of people don't own the King of Fighters 14. It doesn't have the mainstream kind of appeal or the advertisement budget as a game like Street Fighter V or Mortal Kombat, so not a lot of people ran out and bought it, and because of that, you're going to be hard-pressed to find people from your region who are playing it. A lot of the times, I had to play people on the other coast.
He said that, well, people have been saying that they've get perfect connections, then he goes on to talk about something completely irrelevant to that statement, so... What?
Most of the United States of America, leading to really bad connections, and that's unfortunate. So, unlike a lot of the more mainstream fighting games, there's not a lot of people to play with, which leads to overall bad connections, even though they claim that they improved the netcode, and that's a bad thing. And so, considering that most of the online gameplay...
What? So, like, it's the company's fault that people don't buy their games? Okay.
If King of Fighters 14 is illegitimate because of pretty bad connectivity, the best mode that I found to play was the new party mode. What this mode does is allows you to control one of 3 characters on a team, making it basically a 6-player interactive experience. It's pretty neat, especially when you go into the shuffle mode that'll change your position on the team from the first, second, or third person to fight. I actually found myself kind of strategizing, gee, I'm better with this character, so maybe if I'm the last person on the team to fight, I should use them, while, oh, I'm not as good with this character, but I know that if I use this character, I won't use too much super meter, so I'll basically put myself first on my team with this character, so I'll build up super meter for the rest of my team, who may be better players with whoever they pick. So it's interesting, there's strategy involved, there's a lot of kind of gameplay involving planning that isn't present in the single-player style one-on-one gameplay that happens with the standard multiplayer of the game, and I really like that. In addition, let's face it, since you're only controlling 1 out of the 3 characters in your party, really it's just kind of a silly mode where you're messing around and enjoying the game rather than trying to take it too seriously or competitively. Well, so party mode is a lot of fun, it's an original thing that I actually enjoyed, and I strongly recommend if you are going to get this game that this is the mode that you check out in multiplayer because it's a blast. So really there are just 2 things left to talk about: the quality of the competitive play and the artistic style. First, let's talk about the quality of the gameplay. Now, I've been around the block, I've played competitive fighting games since the early 1990s, and I've played pretty much every single one of them. Yeah, so when I tell you that the King of Fighters 14 has a fighting game engine that could stand up to other major fighting games, I'm not just saying that. It does. And I'm not saying that there aren't going to be characters that are overpowered and broken and basically much better than the others, but aren't going to be characters or major fighting games. I'm not just 14 1990s, and I've played pretty much every single one of them. So when I tell you that the King of Fighters 14 has a fighting game engine that could stand up to other major fighting games, I'm not just saying that. It
Again, he's talking about like fighting game engines. Like, oh yeah, the engine. Oh, the engine's the best. It's like, what do you mean by that? Because like, again, I don't know if I'm like talking out my ass here, but isn't engines just like the thing that generates the images? Like, it's not like the engine doesn't really do anything else other than like generate what you see. I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't really know if what he means by, oh, it's the engine.
Does. And I'm not saying that there aren't going to be characters that are overpowered and broken and basically much better than the others, but I'm telling you that this fighting game engine is better than that.
But like, the engine has nothing to do with balancing. If it did, then, you know, like, how can they patch... I don't know. It makes no fucking sense.
Of Street Fighter V. It just is. Street Fighter V is a basic, far more watered down fighting game engine. The King of Fighters 14 has far more complexities, a lot more
but it's balanced. Just because it's watered down doesn't mean that it's not balanced. It's fucking balanced. I mean, there's characters that have like maybe that might have a little bit more damage output, but you can usually deal with them. But it's like, it's not. What? Engines. Oh man, this review is so fucking like. He made it this way so that he could kind of shit on Street Fighter V again. That's really all he does now with Street Fighter V. Is that if you talk about Street Fighter V, he shits on it. When he plays Durian, he's gonna shit on Street Fighter V. I guarantee it.
Strategy with its 3-on-3 gameplay, and just a lot more in general going on. You're gonna have to learn a hell of a lot more because there's tons more characters. You're gonna have a lot more kind of reactionary gameplay than you have in Street Fighter V, particularly because guess what? The King of Fighters 14 has a lot less input delay than Street Fighter V does. This is the one point of
input delay. There's 8 frames delay in Street Fighter V, not input delay. And the other thing is that like I've heard from people who played King of Fighters 14, that's not Phil, that this has the most delay in a fighting game. I mean, I can't say for sure if it's like definite or anything, but like from what I've heard, it's one of the ones that has the most or whatever.
Of contention that a lot of professional gamers are talking about with Street Fighter V, that the game had far too much intended input delay between the time when you press the button and when something actually happens in the game. The King of Fighters 14 has less. So right off the get-go, if you're trying to do a reactionary move when someone's jumping at you, you want to do an anti-air, it's gonna come out a lot more quickly, and overall the game...
It's funny because I do a lot of anti-airs and I don't have to like predict it. You know, like, I play as Karen. Karen's a great character. She's great. Thumbs up. When we have an EX meter, she has an anti-air move. I've been able to stop anti-airs.
Gameplay engine is better because of that, where Street Fighter V kind of failed. King of Fighters 14 excels in that regard. But now let's talk about the art style.
This feels like he's lying because this is why I don't. When he talks about lag and online, it's really hard to take him seriously because this whole thing with oh, it's lag that you don't see. What does that fucking mean? How is there lag you can't see? Because then if it's like, oh yeah, I put an input delay and then it takes, so then so do they just not react? Do they just stay there and okay, and then they do that? No. So it reacts. So what is this? You can't see lag that the game has. I don't fucking know. This guy makes up all kinds of lies to make sure that to trick you into thinking he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't. Why do you think he has to say in every video when he talks about fighting games, wherever? I've been around the block. I've played these fighting games. I play King of Fighters. This. It's because he wants to make you think that he knows what he's talking about. I can play every Call of Duty game. That doesn't make me a fucking Call of Duty aficionado. It's not like, oh, well, I played Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, all of them. I played all of them, so I know. When I say Infinite Warfare looks like shit, because it's not, as good as Call of Duty 2. No. That's fucking, no. The only way you could be a connoisseur or whatever of something is that you have to be good at it as well, and you have to be, playing it more than as much as he's playing it, because he hasn't been playing Street Fighter V for a long time, so of course he sucks ass at it. If I stopped playing Skullgirls for a long time, and when I go online in Skullgirls, guess what happens to me? I get bodied. Do I get mad? Do I say fuck this game? No. I know that these guys are good. That just makes me want to play more, because it's if I play more, I can catch up to these guys, and I can get better at this game again. And there you go. That's why but for Phil, it's if he's not good when he plays it, it's the game. Fuck this game.
This is the one major point of contention that most people are talking about when it comes to this game, because they hear all these good things about it, and then they see a match and they're like, what the? Because the bottom line is this game has terrible graphics. These are not modern generation graphics for a fighting game. Pretty much every game that you could pick, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Tekken, Virtua Fighter, they all have better graphics than the King of Fighters 14. I don't know if it was a budgetary issue. I don't know if it's the fact that this was the first...
This is why they should just have stuck with sprites. Sprites are amazing. If this game had sprites, I would rush to buy it, but it doesn't, so...
Major iteration of the franchise where it went from 2D hand-drawn artwork to 3D, and they wanted to have a more simplistic style on person. The bottom line is a lot of these characters look pretty...
It's funny that he's talking about like how this is like their first 3D King of Fighters game, but doesn't remember that they did a 3D King of Fighters game before. This isn't the first time they did this. And it's kind of funny that the first time they did it, everyone hated it, so they went back to sprites, and then they went back to 3D, and everyone hates it. It's almost as if King of Fighters should have stuck with sprites.
Just stiff. They look like more like action figures than actual fighters. They don't have tons of variety in their animation, and it looks really like they took the 2D hand-drawn art from the old school King of Fighters games and literally just translated it to 3D without trying to add in any more kind of physics or motion or even comparing it to the real human form to try to make it look more realistic. It is what it is. If you can get past the fact that the artistic style of the King of Fighters 14 isn't all that, and you can actually get into the gameplay of the game, I think you're gonna love it. But I realize that in this modern era, a lot of people are looking for the total package, and it really is the graphics, and in particular, the backgrounds of the King of Fighters 14 that stand out as being kind of just vapid. They don't move very much. It's just not particularly interesting, and that is one of the major shortcomings of the game. And now it's time for my review score, and I know a lot of people are going to be up in arms, and a lot of people are going to have issue because I've been kind of directly comparing King of Fighters 14 to Street Fighter 5 in this entire review. Rightly so, because Street Fighter 5 is really the only high-profile fighting game that was also released this year, so obviously there's going to be direct comparisons. The bottom line is this: the King of Fighters 14 has an insanely huge roster, has a ton of offline gameplay, has some fun online gameplay if you can look past the fact that it's more messing around rather than legitimate competitively, and it also has a really complex and solid fighting game engine. Basically, by playing King of Fighters 14 out of the box, you're going to have more to do and way more fun than when you played Street Fighter 5 earlier this year. Just having triple the cast and a fighting game engine.
Funny you say that, Phil, because I played the demo for King of Fighters 14. Don't know how accurate that demo was to the final product, but going out from what I played from the demo, I was bored. I didn't like King of Fighters 14. That demo was just like, I had no urgency to buy that game. It's not like in Mortal Kombat 9, when I played the demo of that made me want to buy the game. When I played the demo here, it's like, I don't care for this game. Street Fighter, I still have fun with. I still play that game. That game's a lot of fun. So, doing that sound effect that Phil loves doing, I kind of disagree. I think Street Fighter 5 has a lot more fun than this game, but the best fighting game, well, you know what I'm gonna say. You know what my favorite fighting game is of all time, right? If you don't know, then, sorry. Sucks to be you, because my profile picture on this channel is from that fighting game, so there you go.
That doesn't have massive amounts of installed input delay, as well as a lot of complexities that allow it to not be as broken as some of the things that people have found in Street Fighter 5. I ultimately find King of Fighters 14 to be a better game overall, even though you may say, but what about the online play? Well, the bottom line is the online play of Street Fighter 5 isn't viable either. Even though the connections over time have improved, that installed amount of input delay in that game force it to be a worse game overall. You cannot react accurately online while playing Street Fighter 5 to anyone that you're playing because of that input delay. And the same can be said for the King of Fighters 14. So basically I have to write off the online gameplay of both games and say that both games have crap online play. Then when you look at what's left, the only leg that Street Fighter 5 has left to stand on are the graphics. They're much better than the King of Fighters 14. But outside of that, King of Fighters has more characters, better design of...
The Better graphics. Okay. Okay, Phil, yeah.
The characters with more gameplay variety, a better gameplay engine, and more offline content. Sorry, just comparing apples to apples, the King of Fighters 14 wins. Now, it's not the best fighting game I've ever played. In fact, it's not even the best one in recent memory. I would probably say a game like Mortal Kombat 10 last year, Injustice, and other recent games I've actually liked a lot more than the King of Fighters 14.
Sorry, Mortal Kombat 10 disappointed me a lot. I liked Mortal Kombat 9 a lot more than 10. 10... It became like Super Smash Brothers, where it had a lot of clone characters. Like, half the characters in that cast plays the same like their counterpart. Like, it's so lame. I kind of don't like Mortal Kombat 10. Like, I play it sometimes, but it's not my favorite. Like, it's barely even on my radar.
14 overall, but the King of Fighters 14 is much better than Street Fighter 5, and overall, I'm giving the game a 7.5 out of 10 review score. So here comes the controversy. I gave it a bigger score than Street Fighter 5. I'm sure some people will be up in arms. Too bad. Being a longtime fighting game player, I gotta tell it like it is. King of Fighters 14 overall is a better game on paper, factually, than Street Fighter 5. You may have a lot of hardcore players who disagree and say, oh, but Street Fighter 5's hype and Street Fighter 5's this and that, and that's the bottom.
Street Fighter 5's hype is not... No, it's very controversial that I said that I give this game a better review score than Street Fighter 5. So, everyone's gonna say, well, Phil, Street Fighter 5 has hype. It has hype? No game after its release has hype. That is not a thing. Phil is an idiot. He keeps thinking hype is like this manifestation of stuff that lasts forever, or lasts within a game or something, but it doesn't. Street Fighter 5 has no hype, because the game's already out. There's nothing to anticipate with that game. It's just like, oh, the game's out. You know, and people have enjoyed it. People are only going to disagree with him because they like the gameplay. They don't care about the 8 frames delay thing, because apparently it has been affecting a lot of people. It didn't affect me when I played the online. They might like the characters in the game. They might like the game on many other levels than it has hype. And I think it's kind of shitty that he's insulting Street Fighter 5 fans in this video. It's very shitty. It's like if I start shitting on people who like Mortal Kombat 10, it's like, well, if you like Mortal Kombat 10, you're a fucking idiot. Or like, oh yeah, I don't like Mortal Kombat 10. Well then, you know, people might say, Theo, but Mortal Kombat 10 has blood and guts and hype. Like, no. Street Fighter 5's fanbase isn't about hype. And it's so fucking annoying to hear him insult Street Fighter 5 or really like the game with this mentality. It's so fucking stupid. It's dumb.
Bottom line, the reason that people love Street Fighter 5 is because the game is hype. Because you can get a lot of people watching it on a stream. Because you can do it.
Oh, I did a stream of Street Fighter 5. Not a lot of people got in. Where's the hype, Phil? I didn't get any hype. Where is it? Where's the hype? Could it be maybe because they like watching people who play the game better than you play the game? Maybe you know, you would have gotten more viewers if you kept playing Street Fighter 5 instead of just raging and quitting the game.
Tournament and get 1,000 attendees despite the fact that the game is subpar when it comes to a competitive fighting.
But like when people play Street Fighter 5 in tournaments, they're playing offline, so there is no frame delay there. So how does it not hold up? What the fuck are you talking about?
Game. The King of Fighters 14 is a much better game, but it has no advertisement budget, it has no hype behind it, and therefore it's going to have a hard time finding an audience because it doesn't have all those installed advantages that a Capcom developed fighting game has, and that's a shame because this one is awesome. I'm glad to see this franchise come back after a long hiatus. I hope that enough people buy 14.
Long hiatus? Okay. We're going to go on a little field trip here, guys. King of Fighters 13. This game came out in 2010, so there were 6 years in between. That's like a normal like range that games take to be developed. So it's not like it took that long, you know, like whatever.
So that the series can continue on, and maybe next time around we can see a better or more improved graphical engine. I like the King of Fighters 14. If you did not give it a shot, I strongly recommend that you do. Maybe wait a little while for it to be at a more discounted price if the $60 full price tag is a little bit too hefty, but certainly don't pass it by just because it doesn't have hype, because the bottom line is it's better than that atrocity of Street Fighter V that was released earlier this year. Well, that's it for my review, everyone, and I sure hope that you enjoyed it.
That fucking review. Let's look at a Street Fighter V review. I'm very curious because I don't remember him giving it less than. I'm pretty sure he gave it an 8. Let's see. Is this? No, that's not it. Look at all the. Oh, that was before he went on vacation. I think, isn't it? Whatever. Star Fox Zero. I don't think I did a video on Star Fox Zero. Fortunately, 1 month retrospective, Hateful Truth. Oh yes, here we go.
Hello everyone, Phil here for KOGaming. For you is to wait and see. Will Capcom actually live up to their
giving 6 out of 10. Okay, wow. Wow. I thought he gave it an 8. He proved me wrong. Yeah, so there's that. That's oh, actually no, let's go to a tweet. Let's go to Twitter and cover a random DSP tweet. Oh man, I forgot they delayed The Last Guardian, so that's gonna really be the hot button issue. I came in for today's pre-stream, so yeah, I voted for Dead Rising 1. It's not winning. RIP. The good news. This December is stacking up to be the most AAA release heavy in recent memory. The bad news? You can't play them all at once. No one plays games all at once, they take their time with them. But okay. Good thing Sony delayed The Last Guardian's release until December 6th. Lord knows the game didn't get enough dev time. Sarcasm. Yeah, because, the game was originally a PS3 game, and then it got ported to the PS4. There would be no way. I mean, it would be silly to think that there would be issues going from one architecture to a completely different architecture of a console, right? It's dumb to think that. And they should just release games and when they gave the release date, no matter what. If the game's unfinished, fuck it, let's just release it. Because then when you get the game, you'll complain about it being buggy and unfinished. Like other games. Huh. Okay, no, never mind. Fuck that. Oh, that's dumb. But seriously, goodbye to any chance of serious sales. Delay The Last Guardian until the same day as South Park and Dead Rising 4? Come on. Yeah, because obviously the Ico and the Shadow of the Colossus were sales dynamos, right? Right? They were major releases, right? Like, come on, man. Did you see anything last night that was ridiculous? No. Nothing ridiculous. Okay. Oh, look at that banner. A hype banner. I like how he has, like, 2 DSP rape faces here. Why can't he just look like a normal fucking person? Like, why can't he just have a normal fucking banner? Just have, like, maybe the 3 channel avatars here, like, here it could be KOGaming, here it could be the King of Hate Vlogs, and here it could be DSP Gaming, or however order he wants to do it. But instead he chooses this, that looks like that's out of focus and just kind of an eyesore to look at. That's incredibly awful. And then this thing that looks like that she's like his hostage that's going through like Stockholm syndrome, and like this is honestly in this picture this is the only thing that's like in focus than this thing, which is weird. And then here we have him like touching a Pokeball with a rape face. This is a very disgusting fucking thing I've seen. The things I do for you guys. Well, that's it for this video. I think I talked long enough. See you guys in the next one. And maybe by the time this is uploading, I might be doing a stream. I might not, but if I am, I'll put the link in my description. If not, I'm not doing a stream. So there's that. See you guys whenever I do stuff.